Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Startup Conversations. So, in this podcast series, I speak to founders to find out a little bit about who they are, what makes them tick, and we want to have very personal conversations with them. So, today we have Lincoln, who is the co founder of Filmplace. He has been in the film and media industry for about 10 years. He used to work in Garena, and today we speak with Lincoln to find out his story of starting different businesses, getting into entrepreneurship at a very, very early age, and find out what lessons he gained along the way. So this is not a business or feel good podcast. We want to go really deep, find out who he is, what makes him tick. And Lincoln, very nice to speak with you today. So he will be coming on to this session. Hello, Lincoln.
Hi, Krista.
Hello. You can hear us? Everything is good?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anybody comes on, I think you can comment down your questions, say hi to Lincoln. So Lincoln, let's talk about like you getting into entrepreneurship. So you started out really, really early. Maybe you want to talk about that a little bit. How was it like when you first
Sure.
put your foot in it?
Right. I think the very first time I started my very first doing a business kind of business is when I was 15 years old. I think that's where I actually went into freelancing, and then I help clients develop their web and graphic design stuff. And I think ultimately it's quite interesting to see how, at the age of 15, where people don't trust you, willing to only pay you peanuts for who you are, until today, where, people generally they are willing to pay you like, 4 or 5 figures in one single projects. I think, having the right portfolio is really important. I think that's another reason why starting early is always like you know, allowing you to have more experience and try out more stuff.
Mm, cool. So Anandi says hi. Hello, Anandi. How was it like when you
Hi,
first started
Nandi.
at 15? What were you doing?
I was schooling actually.
What was your first experience with it?
Well, initially, I remember it was a tuition center that I approached them. They kind of posted like, hey, we are looking for like web graphic design interns. That's
Mhm.
initially where they posted their job posting. But instead of applying as an intern, because I was still like studying, so I actually contacted them and I asked them, hey, why don't you engage me? I can help you do the whole thing, and you don't need to pay an intern every month salary,
Right.
just a one-time
Right.
off fee. Yeah. And I remember back then I was offered a $50 to $100 to get the whole
Oh,
project done up. It was a 2 months project. So I was like, wow, that's really low. But nevertheless, I think I still took it up because after all that's my very very first client, and I was 15.
mm,
So I think building a portfolio is really important. To get
mm,
people to trust you, you first need to show portfolio and of course real working experience. So I think
mm.
that's how it all started actually.
Right. Okay. What made you, from then until now, what made you decide that entrepreneurship was a path for you? What do you
I
like
think
so
it's
much about it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really about like the drive and the creativity. You
Mm,
get to explore a lot of new opportunities when you're actually doing your own things, doing your own business. You get to decide on things. Of course, sometimes you fail, but if you fail, you have to keep trying until you
mm,
succeed, and that makes the whole journey more exciting, rather than going for a 9 to 5 job after work. You go out and just hang out. There's no I would say no challenge. I really enjoy the challenge that was given to me.
right. So really about the challenges, and you started many businesses, right, along the way.
Right.
About five.
Yes, that's correct.
What were the businesses that you started?
So as you know, my very very initial one is, as I mentioned earlier, I was freelancing for web graphic design. So yeah, definitely one of it is the web and graphic design company. I also run, and actually, in fact, the rest is all actually media related. That's where I
Mm,
think my keen passion and interest is really at. Yeah, and
mm,
ultimately, from all my studies and things like that, I have always been in the industry for about 10 over years. So I
mm.
think, yeah, the rest is really in like the media spaces.
Right, right. So it's always in like media, like whether it is web development or video production. It's very service-based businesses, right? In the past, what you've done.
Right.
But then it's very difficult, I would say, like for someone who has always been doing service-based businesses to um, going into building a platform business where there's like so much money you need to pump in,
Right.
and it's a really different ball game altogether. What made you do the transition?
I think it's really about, the market opportunity. I'm
Mm,
someone who follow very closely to, what in the next 10 years, what is going to happen.
yeah.
So I do see a very big change with all the
Mm,
AI and, things like that all coming out.
mm,
Eventually service business will not be as thriving as what it used to be. Ultimately, a lot of them will be taken over by AI.
mm,
So I personally think that, as a business itself, if you want something that can still go on for the next decade, it has to be technology related. And I
right.
think that personally,
Your tech,
sorry, can you
some
hear
tech.
me? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
can hear you.
Yeah, so I think like personally it's really about I have faced a lot of issues in the industry before as well,
Mm,
and all this issue can actually be
can't hear you. William says, "Wow." Is your audio
Oh,
some
is it
issue?
better?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, cool.
Mm,
So yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I was saying it's really about like the problem that you have been facing in the service industry from
mm,
all your past experience, turning all those problem into a solution for them.
mm,
Initially, I was just thinking of creating a platform to solve my own problem, but
mm,
eventually, as I start to speak with more people, I started to realize that actually this is not a problem that I face, but it's a
mm.
problem that everyone faces in the industry. And
Right,
that's
like as
really
a
something.
service-based business, what were some of the problems that you experienced?
Well, there's multiple problems. I think the biggest problem that I face is looking for the right locations. So
Mm,
that's actually how Filmplace really comes about,
mm,
and not just looking for a right location in Singapore alone, but in all other parts of the world as well.
mm,
And today, if let's say you need to film in other countries like maybe Korea, you
mm,
have language barrier, you have like culture barrier. There's
mm,
any issues that can happen within this
mm.
transition period. So platforms like Filmplace can really helps to resolve all this problem.
I see, I see. Okay, okay. So based on like some of the problems you experienced, you actually sort of channeled that into starting a film plays. Okay, okay. How is it different though, running film plays as compared to all your previous business ventures, which were like maybe your team designing websites, creating
Mhm.
videos. Yeah.
It's a
How is
very
it?
very big difference.
What
So
are
I
the
think
differences?
I think the biggest difference is a service based company. Usually you need to liaise with your client, right? Your client
Yeah.
pay for your service, whereas you need to meet with your client all the time. As compared
Mm-hmm.
to where Filmplace works now, uh, I basically work on the go,
Mm,
anywhere around the world, around the clock.
mm,
Basically, a web-based service, I mean, a web-based platforms,
mm.
really is a 24-hour solution.
Right,
It basically helps you to generate revenue even while you're sleeping. Whereas
right,
service-based is really about providing the time, the resources to in return exchange for money.
right. So will you say you're
Yes,
like a lot more free now, you have more time now?
that's not true.
So why are you busy? Because you say you make it sound like you don't do anything.
Well, so we have a different sets of busyness. Like for service based, as I mentioned, you provide service to the client
Mm-hmm.
to in return exchange for money, right?
Mm.
Whereas a platform business is all about listening to what people want and
Yeah.
implement what they want. So
Right.
I would say that on a day-to-day basis, we are actually coming up with new solutions,
Mm-hmm.
improving the solutions, and make
Mm-hmm.
things even better. So I wouldn't say that, as just a platform, we are not just gonna sit there and just let it run. I mean, technically it's possible, but for us, really help improve the whole user experience is really important. That's number
Mm.
one. Number two, as a tech-based platform-based businesses, I think is you need to raise money, right? Because
Right.
there's a very, very huge initial cost upfront.
I
And for that,
see.
raising funds became part of my full-time job as well.
Okay. How has it
Yes.
been raising funds during the pandemic? Because we spoke about some of the issues you had. Um, how was it like? How has it been?
I think it's very interesting. Um, in the past, before the pandemic, people used to raise funds after, you met up with the investors and then, everything is okay. They like you in person, then they give you the money, right?
Right.
But right now, these days, everything is through virtual. And over the last 1.5 year, we actually managed to raise our pre-seed round
Mm.
fully virtually, so without meeting like the investor at all. So one of our
Right.
lead pre-seed investor is actually from New York,
Mm.
and to be honest, I never met him in person at all.
Mm.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about how much you guys has raised pre-seed?
To date, if we include our angel round and our past pre-seed round, we have raised a total about 400,000 US.
And what's your goal?
So ultimately, the last round that we raised is really to help build a very good platform, to
Mm-hmm.
help prove that there are a market out there and people
Mm.
needs the solution, and of
Right.
course further improve on having the whole ecosystem ready for people
Mm.
to easily access the platform.
Mm. Mm.
That's basically the goal for our last round. And of course, for the current round, I think it's more really towards like being able to scale up, because we have already proven the market that there is a market demand. So now
Mm.
all is to scale it up. And again,
Mm.
scale it up, we need money as well. So
Mm.
it's very different from the traditional service company where to scale up, okay, I just hire people, I'll scale up, right? It doesn't work the same for technology based company.
What has been your biggest challenge so far? In general, this can be anything that you want to talk about. What has been your biggest challenge?
I think if you are talking about my transition from the service-based business into a tech business, I think my business biggest challenge is, to be honest, I have never raised fund for my past businesses before. And
Mm.
suddenly, okay, I need to raise fund for my technology business. So how does the whole process work?
Yeah.
What should I do? Throughout the past few years, I mean, yeah, I have been struggling quite a number of times before to
Right.
really know the process and things like that. So personally, I went to together with some of my co-founders. We actually went to attend like workshops. We went to multiple accelerators program, incubators. I think those really help us to grow. It opened up my mentality towards fundraising as well. It's not just
Mm.
money, but also how we can convert and give the number of X return for the investors
Mm.
and things like that.
Mm. Okay. Okay. And what have you gained through this process in terms of learning? Because you mentioned how can you achieve the X return for the investors, right? So how do you do that?
Well, how do you do that? It's really, being able to like understand the market and
Right.
also scale up. Always have to keep scaling until you are able to reach that market. But of course,
Mm.
the most importantly, as I mentioned on the very first point, to
Mm.
understand the market. Because if you don't understand the market and then you start scaling, eventually you are going to lose a lot of money.
Right.
So being able to understand the market well before you start scaling is actually the biggest things that I think all startups should do.
I see. On the process of burning a lot of money, right? I think people naturally have this impression that if you are running like a platform business, then and you are getting like a lot of investor money, the process of scaling is basically burning money. Do you agree with this statement?
I don't really agree to this statement. Burning money does not necessarily mean scaling. If, as I mentioned, if you don't understand the market and you are so-called scaling and burning more money by hiring and doing a lot of other things, then technically what will happen eventually is that you might eventually be spending a few $1 million, but you will still not grow. And that's because you don't understand the market. Being
Mm,
able to understand the market before you start
mhm,
scaling, this eventually will leads to break even and then
mhm,
profitability.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
So that's usually what investors look for. I mean, that's
mhm.
one thing. Another thing is being able to exit. When is your exit strategy? I
Yeah.
think all those are really important based on the hundreds of investors that I've spoken with.
Right. 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 So, what are some of the investors concerned about when it comes to you and doing all your pitch rounds?
Usually, I would say the market size.
Okay.
uh, yeah, the reason why is because I think we are in a very niche, or should I say, a very blue ocean market
Okay.
where not many people has actually entered the space,
Yeah.
and not many people actually know about or understand the space well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
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 for context, the space is because you are trying to target um, video production companies, people who need to rent locations for
content creators.
filming. Yeah, for content creation, right? So it's quite narrow, this pool of people who are trying to create content and trying to look for locations. Probably you have video production companies, you have influencers, you have corporates who just need that space for filming,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I would say yes and no. Eventually, as I mentioned, sometimes when investors ask us, "Oh, can you send us a deck?" We'll be like, "Okay, we're happy to send you a deck, but you probably don't understand what we are trying to tell you,
Right.
unless you talk to us first." So that has been always like the problem. That's why we always say that you should always talk to us first. Don't just look at our deck, and that's
Okay.
because filming locations is actually just a very first part of what we plan to do.
Okay.
Eventually, Filmplace is not just going to be a platform for you to find a film locations, but you
Mm,
can actually hire your cast, your crew, get your props, equipment, and even creators can secure projects directly on the platform. So we
mm,
basically build a content creators marketplace, a global one that
mm,
actually will result in a significant gain in terms of market opportunity and size.
mm, mm,
Yes.
mm. So like a lot of times in marketing, we always say that like it's most ideal to have a very narrow uh audience, right? Because you know who you are targeting and all that. Uh, are in is that something that investors are concerned about?
Um, I
Being
would say
yeah.
it's like a narrow audience. I would say it's more of like how you create your product and who your target audience are really
Mm,
for. But of
mm,
course, there's no such thing as a one product fits all solution platform.
mm,
That usually doesn't work that well because
right.
there's no focus. For us, our focus has always been on content creators, and
Okay.
that is our focus.
Right. Okay. So I mean, going back to yourself, right? Going back to yourself, uh, you mentioned that fundraising has been your biggest challenge, getting to realize how the process works and all that. What have you learned along the way in this journey?
Wow, that's like I can take a whole day to answer that questions. I think in summary, it's really about what people wants and
Mm,
giving what people needs.
mm,
Most importantly is, are you solving people's problem?
right.
Because if you are solving people's problem, then who are you solving their problem, right? So with all these things, if you are able to come up with a very confident, or should I say like a product that people needs, then investors, and of course you need to convince investors to show them that here is, you know, how the whole process works. They need to
Right.
understand how it works first, and then with that, then I think it's easier to start raising funds.
Right. What has this process taught you about yourself?
um be confident.
So would you say that you were previously not very confident as a person?
Not really. I would say like previously I'm very how do I say it? Like very too too honest.
What do you mean by that? You were too honest?
So for instance, let's say for example, in the next 5 years, maybe I think that, or I think maybe the company can make like $100 million,
Mm.
example. And
Mm.
usually when I talk to my investors, I will tell them, oh, maybe we will make about 50 million. I would like to half that price. And I think the reason is because I'm a person who always like to fulfill what I say, and I always
Right.
like to go over what I say.
Yeah.
So that's my character. But that has become a problem during the
I see.
fundraising process, because investors might think that, oh, you're not confident, or they might think that, oh, the market is too small, or they might think that, you know, there's no market at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, right. So have you had to deal with like that dilemma of staying true to yourself and given that you kind of have to beef up the numbers a bit, right? Like, do you have to deal with like integrity issues, would you say?
No, I'm not talking about beefing up the number at all. I'm
Okay.
talking about, because like I told you in the past, I usually like to half my number, half my
Okay.
projected number. Yeah,
So you know
now,
you can definitely meet it.
yes. So I know I can definitely meet it.
Right.
But then after speaking with so many people, I realized that, you know, actually we should just be honest, just be um for example, like you expect a growth of like, let's say 10 times, and just say it's 10 times. Don't go below that, or don't go above that. If you go above that, then of course, you know, you are just lying to yourself and lying to your
Yeah.
investors. If you go
Yeah.
below that, then they might think that there's no market and no demand.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you have learned to not shortchange yourself in the process
Right.
in a way, like being very confident about what you can deliver.
That's correct.
How do you draw the line between being confident and being like how do I say this, and
The best.
ensuring that you can deliver, right? Like, not how do you ensure that you are not promising in this, not over promising?
Right. I think over promising usually means that, for example, if let's say I think that, you know, if I have this money and then I throw into XXX, and then eventually I can get 10x, right? But then if over promise means that, you know, after all the calculation, I know it will not go, let's say for example, maybe you might push up to 15x, but let's say I know it will not go above 20x. But then you told the investors, I will do 20x, right? That is over promising, which means you know that it will not happen and you're just lying to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So like if it's totally untruthful, it's totally
Yes.
like not the truth, that you would be able to achieve that. So there is some like backing and confidence that you have when it's dealing with something like this. Okay, got it. Let's go back to your challenges, right? In your years of business, how many years have you been in business, Lincoln?
About 8 years.
Mm.
Doing my own startup.
In your 8 years of being in business, what was the most challenging?
Well, to be honest, there's different parts of challenge I face every time. Um, in my service company, I would say acquiring clients.
Okay.
And yeah, and if you're talking about like the technology part of the business, I would say really to keep pushing for it and keep scaling it. So because it's again still technically you can say it's still my first technology or tech business. So
Right.
scaling up tech business and scaling up service-based business is actually a totally different ballgame. So that's
Understand.
something that I need to adapt and I need to learn. So over the
Mm,
past few years, that's what I have been doing. Yeah,
mm.
having mentors from like all over the world, from UK, from US, Korea, Singapore, Australia. Those are the people that are giving us a lot of guidance and support to
Mm,
really help us and myself to learn
mm,
and
mm,
grow. Yes.
mm. Okay, so like those are the different challenges that you had to overcome in the different stints of your work. But in general, as an entrepreneur, what has been the biggest challenge that you had to deal with? Like, is there a specific moment where you feel, oh my gosh, I don't think I
Yes.
can make it?
Nasty clients.
Everybody seems to be saying nasty clients, man. It's always about the people, I guess.
Well, to be honest, as like be it a platform, be it like a service-based company, I believe almost everyone has dealt with this kind of people before,
Yeah.
where they make a ridiculous request, but they are only willing to give you that small tiny peanut, right?
Okay.
So I think for such, it's really about negotiation, how
Mm,
you negotiate with them, how we
mm,
can prove to them that by going with you,
mm.
you can provide them with the best benefits.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. 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 So negotiation is like the biggest sort of a skill that you have gained along the way.
that's correct. Yes,
Okay. How does it like? How did you learn how to negotiate?
trial and error, I guess.
Like in basically in like saying different things and then gauging the response. Do you like
Right.
read anything or like anything that has helped you learn about negotiation a little bit more?
So, for instance, I have experience where I said certain things, and this client just say, "Oh wow, okay, then never mind. I'll just go with another company." So
Oh.
things like that happened before, and
Mm,
also, so along the line, for me, I just keep like changing how you talk to them, what
mm,
kind of things you look forward to, look at. Like for example, when you're dealing with clients, I'd say very importantly is look what they really want and what they really
mm,
need, and give them
mm,
what they want, right?
mm,
Sometimes it's really not about saving money.
mm,
Sometimes they just need that thing, and some
mm,
clients just really is just about saving money. So really just give them what they want, and then
mm,
that thing, I think it would be easier for you to negotiate with them, because if you're not
mm.
giving them what they want, then I think the negotiation would not work.
Right, right.
Yes.
Okay. If there are people watching, I think there's like a couple of people watching on LinkedIn or Facebook and stuff. If you are watching, can you say hi to Lincoln? Say hi, and then so that we know that there are people watching with us. And if you've got any questions, do comment down below as well, like for Lincoln. Yeah. So okay, so you mentioned like negotiation as one of like the big skills you've gained along the way. Any other uh tips that you have learned?
Any other tips that I have learned?
Yeah, any other big learning moments or points?
Mm, I would say that it's actually kind of like my first time as well. Be when I'm actually doing my tech startup.
Mhm.
Basically pitch my business in front of thousands of people on the big
Okay.
stage. So I
Okay.
think
Oh, yeah,
that
in the Korean show, right? In the
right.
Korean. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was a reality show.
Oh no, no, no! It's not really a show. It's actually a very big conference. It was
Oh,
actually
okay.
endorsed by the Korean president.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
so being able to pitch at such a big stage, I think
Mm,
is really honorable. But if you're not prepared, then well, I think yeah, you probably know what's gonna happen next. So
mm,
I would say keep preparing. Uh, Before I started in doing pitching at such a big event.
mm.
Before that, I have been pitching to tons and tons of like friends, investors. I think those can help you with your pitching skill, and
Right.
also helps you to make or create your pitch better because
Mm.
they give you feedback, right? So always ask for feedback as well. I think that would help a lot. Yes.
So something that you learn is always to get feedback lah.
Yes, that's correct.
Is it difficult dealing with negative feedback?
Well, I mean, like it's always is. I don't think anyone likes to hear negative feedback, but I would say that always be open about negative feedback. For me, I'm always very open about it. It means that, just take in whatever people say, be it good or bad, and then from there analyze what they say. Because after you analyze, you might actually found, for me personally, after analyzing, sometimes I actually found that, oh yeah, actually this person said something and I think it's true. And maybe we tweak this a little bit to make it better. Yeah, so if you analyze what they say, I think you can improve on yourself as well. So I think that's also a very important thing.
I remember previously when we had this conversation and you were talking a little bit of fundraising, that you mentioned certain challenges that you had to deal with, right, in terms of like the company's finances. Are you okay to talk about that?
In which regards?
Previously when you were fundraising, in terms of ensuring that there is cash flow and stuff like that, you had certain experiences. Lincoln, we spoke about this before.
Oh, right.
Are you okay to speak about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
How was the experience like? Like maybe you can share what happened.
It was mind-blowing.
What happened?
I think being able to work together as a team, and especially within your C-suite level, it's very important to work very closely and understand each other. I think that's very important, and work towards a solution. So as a startup, all of us would sometimes face the challenge where oh, we are running out of cash, what should we do? So I think that has always been a challenge that we face in startup.
So
But I think
how bad was the cash flow situation?
it was bad.
Like
was
the
bad.
company had like was running like how bad was it?
So we literally have like 1.5 months of runway.
Wow.
Yeah. So we tweak certain things, we make it better. We change
What do you tweak actually?
a lot. Sorry.
What do you tweak?
Yeah, so we restructure the entire process of what is needed, what is not needed, and some of the things. From there on, we managed to change things a little. It helps us to increase our runway, and from there, we are actually we managed to raise our round, thankfully, and that's where we are more stringent after having our lesson learned with our finance. Yeah.
Right. So what were you spending wrongly on? What do you realize?
I think it's really about we put in too much money in customer service. So a lot of time, for us, we think yes, customer service is very, very important. So we have tons of customer service solutions that can really helps improve productivity and customer service support. But actually, we realized that after doing a very deep dive of the company, we realized that actually some of the solution is not necessary at all, and some of the things we can build in house, so we don't even need those solutions. So yeah, from there on, we make things better.
So you're
This
talking about like certain technology subscriptions, like expensive solutions that you all have been procuring.
That's correct. Yes.
Oh,
and
okay.
and over the past few years in our pre-seed round, actually, I think we procured over 30 different technologies.
Wow.
Yeah.
That added up to like what
There's a
was the
lot of
cost of
money.
that?
Yes.
6 figures, 7, 6. Okay. Got it. So that was your biggest learning like in having to cut the fat.
Yes, I think it's really not just myself, but our entire team as well.
Right.
We learn, we learn from mistake. We learn what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and from there on, we really set sort of like a benchmark, what we can do,
Mm.
what we cannot do, and
Mm.
if we need to do something but we are not sure, then the whole teams need to agree. I'm talking about the C level when I say team,
Right.
to agree on certain things before we proceed on.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting internal buy-in on very big company changes.
Yes.
Okay. If you could turn back time, what would you do differently?
Are you talking about how long are you talking about? 10 years? 20 years?
General, like your 8 years, past 8 years.
Hmm. If I could turn back time, if I still have the experience I had, I think I would really look at the future tech, what people wants, what people needs, and what are some of the things that can really help, make things better, make life better.
Right.
It's very important to have a solution that
Mm.
people needs rather than people wants. Because if you have a solution that people want, it means that it might not even be something that people will pay for. Yeah. So to answer your questions, if I could turn back time, I think going into tech would be the first thing I would do instead of going to a service-based business first.
I see. Okay. So what would you see for yourself in the future? What is your end goal?
Okay,
Lincoln?
end goal. So end goal, well, there's two end goals I hope to see. First, I can build a base in Mars. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I think the real end goal is basically to IPO in Nasdaq. That has always been the end goal, and that has always been our final moment in where we are right now. And of course, being able to partner and collaborate with bigger brands and potentially do a merger acquisition with bigger related brands as well. I think that really can help us scale up even quicker without
Mm.
actually burning cash.
Mm.
So those are some of the ultimate goals we hope to see. And
Mm.
eventually at the end of the game, we became the household brand for the content creator. So it's
Right.
just like, you think of designer, you think of Photoshop, right? So we want to
Right.
be that for the
Right.
creative space. Yes.
Right. Okay. Got it. So when you talk about M&A, are you referring to Filmplace being bought over or Filmplace buying companies over?
If we are talking about like being IPO, then of course we are acquiring more businesses
Yeah.
that is related to what we are, that
Mm.
eventually can help the creators economy to really grow.
Mm.
That has always been our ultimate goal, and that
Mm.
has never changed since the
Mm.
beginning of Filmplace.
Right.
So we believe that in the next 10-20 years, our goal will still be the same.
Okay. How far do you think you are from IPO? How far do you think the company is from IPO?
I think we are quite far. uh, Maybe I would say 10-20%. We are 10 to 20% to our goal. But potentially that really depends on how fast we scale up. Of course, the faster we scale up, the earlier we can reach our goal.
Mm. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my last question, Lincoln. If anybody has any questions, you can comment now your questions. If not, we can end today's session. Lincoln, do you have anything that you want to add?
Never give up. Because I know a lot of my friends who are actually doing the startup before, they after their first startup fails, they just give up and start working for another company. I
Right.
would say that if you really, really wants to go big, don't give
Mm.
up. To be honest, Filmplace is not my first company. And before that, I do have failed business before as well. So if you fail and you just stop there, then probably that's about it in your
Right.
entrepreneur life. So if you don't give up and you just keep going forward, you can take all those experience that you have learned before and
Mhm.
implement them on your new startup. which means you have a higher chance of being a next unicorn. And that's what I have also been using for my startup in Filmplace, using my past
Nice.
experience. Yeah.
Nice. So because your experience running various service-based businesses has actually helped you in the fact that you know that this is not your first business, and also the fact that you already understand the market that you are serving because you used to experience this problem, right? Because you
Yes.
used to run a film production company, and
Right.
you used to know that there is this pain that production companies face in not being able to identify locations, and this led you to what you do today.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you, Lincoln. So I think this is the Filmplace website. What are you looking for currently? Are you looking for more people to list their homes, list their spaces that film production companies can book? Are you looking for more investors? Are you looking for more partners?
I welcome everyone to join Filmplace. So if you have a home, apartment, or office or anything, you can sign up on Filmplace, and then you can make some money by leasing out your properties on Filmplace, and you can rent it out by per hourly basis. So I think it's a good income for venue owners. And on the other side, investors willing to or wanting to find out more about the economy, the creative economy space, feel free to reach out to me as well. I'm
Okay.
happy to share more.
Okay, thank you, Lincoln. Thanks everybody. If in the meantime you have any questions, you watch it at a later time and you want to comment, feel free to, because Lincoln will be able to see your comments as well. If anybody wants to be interviewed, let me know, and then I can slot you in for the next session. So if you've watched today's broadcast, thank you. I hope you're having a good lunch. Thanks, Lincoln. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Lisa. Thank you. Bye.